What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Controversy Lab.
Where controversy is key.
I am your host, Lakel House.
And I am the RTJ.
Yes. Welcome to Controversy Lab. Today, guys, we're going to be talking about the young man that got his ass kicked in Virginia. Well, he didn't get beat up, per se. He complied after he got maced in his vehicle. Young man was a lieutenant in the military.
Well, I'm not going to say after he got maced. He complied the whole time. And the thing was, he was scared to come out, and the police was like, you should be scared.
Well, technically, he did not comply. Let's go ahead and clarify that, because if we don't correct this narrative, then we're going to continue to run into issues like this moving forward. First of all, I don't like cops that, beat their chest and try to intimidate people. I don't personally agree with that type of approach. But complying is complying when the officer tells you to do something. If an officer tells you to get out of the car, he should have got out of the car. Case in point. Because at the end of the day, that gave them the right to mace him. That would have given them the right to fucking beat the shit out of him with nightsticks. So at the end of the day, like I always tell people, we talk about videos that deal with police officers. Don't talk to cops, number one, and comply. Because
I gotta fight you back on that, because it's like
come on with it, brother.
You're saying comply, but then there's complying, and that's complying to a lawful order, and then there's complying to not really trying to comply to some bullshit. Is there a reason for me to get out of my car when you pull me over, period?
There's nothing wrong with understanding the rights, but the masses of people do not know their rights. So people that are watching this video are going to do your due diligence to go learn the rights that apply to you in your state. Do what the cop tells you to do. Now, on the other hand, I know my rights in my state. So when police officers pull me over, I stand on the law. But even if I know a police officer is going against what the law says, I'm going to request a supervisor, right? Once you request a supervisor, the law enforcement officer has to stop what he's doing and then request a supervisor. 80% of law enforcement officers are not going to do that because they're power tripping. So if you request a supervisor and they say, well, he's on the way, but get out the car. At the end of the day, I'm going to get out of the car because I already know what comes next. He's power tripping. He's probably going to try to mace me. He's probably going to try to shoot me. The issue is, this is why a lot of police officers get away with bullshit, because we don't see when you comply, and that allows you to de-escalate the situation to an extent. If he wants to be an asshole and he wants to make a false arrest, you can still go back and file a complaint. The problem is when these complaints do not add up against police officers, these police officers are not held accountable, because what happens is when you do not comply and you go against what he's saying, you're giving him the leverage to use that against you.
He has the leverage anyway.
No, what I'm saying is, if, for example, you give me an unlawful order, tell me to get out of the car. If I don't get out of the car and I'm arguing and fussing with you and you have to mace me, now, when I go back and I try to make a formal complaint against this police officer, he has grounds to stand on and say he didn't comply, so I had to mace him. Wait.
Let's stick with the subject at hand, the topic at hand. The guy is not arguing and fussing with him. The guy, I'm sorry, I keep saying the guy, Mr. Nazario, simply said, I don't feel comfortable getting out of my car. I don't feel comfortable reaching for my seatbelt. I feel threatened. I feel scared. I am scared. The cop said, you should feel scared. I'm at fear for my life. So if I reach for, you already got your guns pulled. So guess what the next thing is? If I go to unhook my seatbelt, you're going to, because you told me to get out of the car, you're going to shoot me. So what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Reach for my seatbelt, comply with him, and get shot?
Well, primarily, first of all, we didn't get to that part yet. We're still talking.
Because my bad.
We hadn't got to that part yet.
My bad.
We were discussing the part about him complying.
Okay.
Before they maced him, they were telling him to get out of the car. Now, me being a prideful man, I wouldn't have wanted to get out of the car either, right? I would have argued my case, because he said that you have no right to pull me over. He was talking about how they approached him. I didn't do anything wrong. He's having his conversation with them, right?
Okay.
Once I would have saw the hostilities from the other officer, the first thing I would have done was requested a supervisor. And I would have gauged how that officer would have handled sending a supervisor.
Here's the problem with that. it. The reason we can't say that he did not or he did, the reason we cannot say that is because when it comes to these fucking people in these uniforms, they edit the body cam. If you notice, look where the body cam started. So we don't know if he asked or didn't ask.
Well, I'm just, again, we can't sit here and debate that. I'm just going off of the simple fact of what we saw.
Okay, all right.
That's all I can go off of, what we saw. So what we saw from the video,
you're right.
He did not request a supervisor in the video from what we saw. We'll know when they go to trial, if they go to trial. But we can only go off what we saw. So what we saw basically was him saying that, him arguing first and then requesting a supervisor after he'd already been maced, after the situation escalated. Mind you, I'm only speaking about the part of complying. So what I'm saying is after I would have requested a supervisor, he should have requested a supervisor, once he would have saw that the other officer was, oh, you should be scared of that. One key thing the officer said was, you're not under arrest, you're being detained.
Okay.
Now, clarify for people that don't understand the difference. If an officer tells you you are being detained, that just means he's going to put you in handcuffs and further investigate because he does not have probable cause to arrest you. So at that point, once he told the young man you're being detained, he should have got out of the car. The reason is, all I'm simply saying is we as black people, we know cops want to shoot us. We know cops want to beat our motherfucking ass. At the end of the day, we have to play the game with them. I hate to say it because the judicial system is not on our fucking side. The police ain't on our fucking side. So we have to learn to play the game with them, right? To our benefit. Learn your laws and play the game. So my thing is, the officer knew when he said you're being detained, he said that for a reason because he knew that if the young man did not comply with him saying, I'm going to detain you, now it gives him probable cause to arrest him because he's not complying. You see what I'm saying? It's a mind game that we're looking over because we don't know the law.
Why does it give him probable cause to arrest him?
Because you're not complying. If an officer has a right to detain you. A police officer can detain anybody he wants to investigate his suspicion of you breaking the law. He can detain whoever the fuck he wants to. That's the law.
Okay, no. I asked you.
But if you do not comply with his investigation, that gives him the right to arrest you if you do not comply with the police officer's investigation.
It has to be a lawful compliance, though. It has to be lawful. You can't detain me because of this. You have to have law backing up the reason for arresting me. If you have no law to arrest me, you cannot arrest me because I'm not complying with your detainment.
But then
why are you detaining me?
That is why
you cannot arrest me for a violation, a traffic violation.
That is what. Yes, he can.
No, he cannot for a traffic violation.
He can.
It's a violation. It's not a crime.
He can detain you for a traffic violation.
I said arrest. I didn't say detain.
If you let me get to that point, what I'm saying, he can detain you for a traffic violation to make an investigation. When you're pulled over beside the road, that is a soft investigation, right? Which is why he says, which is why a police officer, you have an idea how fast you go. That is his investigation for him to make contact with you to investigate what's going on and give you a ticket. What I'm saying is when he detains you, if you were to drive the fuck off, then he can arrest you because you are interfering with his investigation. At the end of the day, whether you want to agree with it or not, bro, the truth of the matter is.
Listen to this.
Listen to what?
Listen to this. You're not investigating a violation. You pulled me over because I made the violation. So now you have to give me the ticket because I made the violation. You're not pulling me over for the suspicion of a violation. You're pulling me over because I made the violation. So give me my ticket and let me go the fuck on. Unless you have a big ass ego like a little bitch, which that cop had.
The cop, when they pull you over, if he witnessed you do something,
yes,
him coming to the car, from that point where he puts his thumbprint on your car,
on the left side,
everything starting from that point is an investigation, which is why when a police officer comes to your car, he asks for your license. Then he goes and runs your license. It is an investigation from the point he makes contact with you. He has the right to check and see if you have warrants. Wait a minute. Let me finish. Let me finish. He has a point. He has a right to look and see if you have tickets, if you have warrants. He has a right to smell in your car to see if he smells marijuana. From the point he makes contact with you, that is an investigation, period.
So this is where I will agree with you to a certain extent. Yes, he will do an investigation, but the investigation is to see how much bullshit I can put you into now.
Of course.
But it's not the initiative of the violation. The violation happened.
Listen, what you're debating something completely different from what I'm saying. What I'm saying is A traffic stop is an investigation, period. If it was not, he would just come to your car with a ticket and just give you the ticket. Hey, you ran that red light, here's your ticket. That's the reason they make contact first, to see whatever else the hell you got going on. They look in your car, they put the flashlight on, got their partner come to the side. Everything from the point they make contact is an investigation. Now, we're not going to drag this point out.
No, we're not.
But what I'm saying is, when a police officer begins to make his investigation, you cannot impede his investigation. Period. You can't do that. Which is why impede his investigation means not comply with what he's saying. So that's why you cannot. That is why you can't. The reason why you cannot. That is why in certain states they say a police officer has to witness or have a probable cause to stop you. Because in a sense, in our country, we never wanted tyranny. We never wanted police officers walking around and just policing people. Like, hey, stop. Where you going? What you doing? Which is why there's always been a narrative to say people have to be committing a crime or have a suspicion of committing a crime for you to make contact. There's certain states, like Trump was saying when he first came in office, he wanted to do away with that. He wanted to say, no, police officers can stop and frisk. That's what the whole stop and frisk was about. So the whole conversation and narrative is, I need to be breaking the law for you to approach me. Now, when it comes to police approaching you, and this is the last point I'm going to make on this, is you cannot impede a police officer from making an investigation. We can debate about that all day, but what is not going to change.
The reason I'm saying
police officers handle you when they make contact.
The reason I'm saying you can't impede because and actually the word impede is how the individual looks at it. Because me using my right to remain silent, they can look at it as me impeding their investigation. Am I wrong or am I right? Because if you ask me questions, hey, I plead the fifth. I'm not talking. They will look at that as you not complying with them. Will they not? I've seen it happen a bunch of times. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, that's a 50-50 situation. It depends on if the officer wants to be a dick or not. About. What you just missed, bro, you just fell back on a law. You fell back on a law. The law states you cannot impede a law officer's investigation. Falling back on the law, have the right to remain silent. You don't have to talk to the police. Now, what the fuck was he doing? He was talking to the police. Notice the difference? He could have easily, no, I'm not missing anything. I'm not missing anything. No, I'm not. He could have literally sat in his car and said, I plead the fifth. I don't speak to police officers. I need your supervisor here right now. The other officer was so turned up, he probably would have maced him any fucking way. And what I'm saying is, when it got to the point where once the officer maced him, get your ass out of the car. The whole point that I'm making is this. When police go against the law and they violate your rights, they have to be held accountable.
Nigga, please.
A police officer cannot be held accountable if you do not stand on the law and you stand on your own knowledge of your own ignorance of the law. By me arguing back and forth with him, by him saying, get out of the car. No, I'm not getting out of the car. What did I do wrong? You're arguing with him now. Now you're giving him ammunition to build a case against you. What I'm saying is stand on the law. If you don't want to get out of your car, all you have to do, I'm requesting a supervisor.
Because the law says I don't have to get out of my car for a violation.
That's not what the law says, bro.
The law says. I'm going to say this.
If you're going to quote law, you have to quote Virginia law.
Okay, that's what I'm about to say. The state of Georgia. I can only go state because I drive
exactly.
In the state of
We're talking about Virginia.
In the state of Georgia, it says I do not have to get out of my car for a violation. I do not have to.
What's the subsection in penal code?
Nigga, we don't have that much time for that.
You can Google it. You got an iPad right there.
We do not have that much time for
Look
that.
Look up the subsection of penal code.
We do not have that much time. And see, and that's the thing. Like,
case in point.
It's not case in point because you're trying to stick to this one narrative. Dude, it says I've done this shit many times. I've been pulled over many times. I've gotten out of it because that is not a lawful order. In the state of Georgia, I do not have to get out for a violation. You give me my ticket. If there's nothing else, let me go.
If it is leaning, if the officer feels unsafe with you being in the car.
Feels unsafe, why? My safety comes before. He said, the fact is, we as civilians don't have the understanding that our safety because you are a servant to me. Am I not the taxpayer? Your safety comes after mine. Because you're working for me. Am I wrong? Is he not a servant of the people?
What I'm saying, Rodney, What I'm saying is there are certain laws, right, that
In the words of NWA, fuck the police.
there are gray areas
Ain't no gray areas. It's black and white.
that heavily lean towards the police officers.
Now you want to talk all soft, y'all.
What I'm saying is this, Mr. Loud, angry person.
Because this is very sensitive subject to me.
What I'm saying is this: there are certain laws that heavily leverage the position of the officer. An officer,
You keep calling them officers. That's making it even worse.
which is why so many states have a problem with police coming to your window and saying, "I smell marijuana," and giving them the lawful leverage to illegally search your car, even if they don't smell nothing. Right? There's certain laws like that people feel like should be thrown out and addressed, for the simple fact that just because you think you smell something don't mean you smell it. Who's to say you smell shit in my car? Right? But at the end of the day, a police officer cannot search your car without a warrant. Unless, loophole, he smells marijuana.
Not in the state of Georgia.
They do it all the time.
Want to know how I know? Want to know how I know?
They do it all the time.
Want to know how I know?
In Georgia.
Do you want to know how I know?
Tell the people how you know.
Because I talked to a canine officer, and he literally told me out his mouth. In the state of Georgia, if an officer says that, yes, he smelled marijuana, you still have to give him the right to search your car. That does not matter. A canine officer I talked to, and Taco Mac told me that he does not have the right to search your car even if he smells marijuana because of the risk of outside material. It could have been a car. It passing that smell like weed. You have to give them the right. And he said exactly what you said. Comply. It's not a lawful order. It's just you saying, yes, sir, you can kick my ass, do whatever the fuck you want to do. Because y'all niggas want to comply. Fuck that shit.
What subsection is that?
This nigga here. Follow us on all social medias. I'm talking to a person who works for who is the police. And this nigga asked me what subsection is that. I'm asking the police.
The reason I'm asking for the subsection is this is how we get in situations with this young man that we're facing right now and how we continue to face these situations. We listen to police officers. We listen to our friends. We listen to everybody that is son. You listen to Controversy Lab.
Which you should be doing.
But what you don't do is you don't go and ask. A police officer says that. You look him in the face and say, what subsection is that? I want to know what law that is. What subsection is it? And he should be able to quote it off the rip. Oh, that's subsection 125-CORP, whatever. Okay, what case law is that? Oh, that's Jason Wildren versus South DeKalb Police Department legislation, whatever. But this is the point. See, and this is my only thing. You can shake your head all you want, but it's factual information because at the end of the day, when it comes to you standing on what you believe in when an officer pulls you over, when you're standing on the law, police officer, subsection 4-5P Penal Code 1 stipulates, officer, that I do not have to step outside of my car because of this, and this. And what you're trying to lawfully tell me to do, Stacey Abrams versus North DeKalb, states this. When you stand on law and it's on his body camera, when you now go to court after you make a decision to comply, if I say get your supervisor right here right now because you're giving me unlawful orders and you're going against the oath that you swore to uphold, and if he still wants to force you out of the car, guess what? Now you have a fucking civil suit. Now you have a case to stand on because he violated your fucking rights.
Them niggas don't get no shit about no goddamn civil suit. They don't pay that money don't come 1 penny out of their pocket.
All I'm simply saying is, at the end of the day, a policeman will be held accountable if you stand on the law.
Nigga, please.
When you turn around and you make complaints, for example.
You know the guy shot to me right still a cop, right?
I don't know why the fuck he's so goddamn chill the fuck out. For example, when we look at the case now with George Floyd, right? He's on trial. When police officers end up on trial and there's no fucking complaints that have been recorded against them, it makes it hard to build a case against them. This is the point that I'm making. The point that I'm making is people say, oh, filing a complaint won't mean anything until this motherfucker kills somebody, until he shoots somebody in the face, and we don't have the cases. 37 complaints, send his ass to jail. when you don't have complaints because you want to argue with the police officers and give them leverage to beat your motherfucking ass, they're going to stay on the streets because we see it every day. When they get into it, oh, he's on administrative leave. Oh, he's going to come back, and they bring their asses right the fuck back.
You do know the guy that killed that chokehold Eric Garner had complaints against him, right? And he's still a cop today.
How many complaints though? This is my point.
Oh, see, now you're getting to a number. You have to have a number.
I literally just said before you made that statement, I alluded to a collective of everyone filing complaints. And I said, when you have 30 or so complaints against you when you go to court, I'm not talking about one complaint. When you have multiple complaints, it makes it hard for them to form a defense against the bullshit. It makes it hard for them to form a defense. When we want to sit here and argue back and forth with them and give them reason to excuse the police officer, then that's when we start having problems.
They're going to do that from get-go because they all work together.
But at the end of the day, brother, when it comes to going to court, when you go to court, a jury is made up of your peers, not police officers. It's made up of a jury of your peers, not a jury of law enforcement. Maybe ex-law enforcement, but the whole jury is not made up of law enforcement. So my point is,
have you ever had a jury? Have you ever had a jury? Not been on one. Have you ever had a jury?
Yeah.
They all look like you?
It's a mix.
That's not what I asked you. I said, do they all? Key word was all.
It's a mix. It's a mix of people.
Okay.
End of the day. You know what I'm saying? The young man at some point should have complied a little bit sooner before he got maced. I understand his position. I understand him not wanting to get out of the car.
I ain't gonna lie, that nigga ate that mace though.
I mean, he ate it. He did a pretty good job.
I know, right?
I was like, that nigga G. Nigga ate that shit. But one thing I hate though.
I couldn't have done it. I was like, oh my God, he's faced me.
One thing I hate though is I don't like you grown ass men out here fucking crying, dude. Like that shit burns my motherfucking blood, bro.
What you mean?
He started crying once they put him on the ground. Like, listen, let me tell you something. If you gonna stand on your motherfucking square as a man and say, I'm not getting out of my motherfucking car, fuck that shit. And then as soon as the motherfuckers mace you, get you a gun, oh my God, don't listen. That shit irks my fucking soul. I hate that. Okay. Listen, stop crying. Men, stop fucking crying. If you don't want to get out of your car and they mace you, eat that shit like a motherfucking man. Stop crying. The last thing I'm going to do is give these police officers the satisfaction of knowing we broke another one. And he out here crying on the fucking pavement with his face in the ground. Stop fucking crying. I hate that shit. That shit irks my soul.
Okay, that's your rant. Here's mine. So we talked about another military sergeant, right?
Yeah.
He assaulted somebody and got to go home. This guy got pulled over for a traffic violation and got fucking maced and arrested. There's a racial difference. One's black, one's white. You see how the world is fucking treating us?
I mean, that's not even a debate. I don't even know why you brought that up.
Fuck the goddamn police. I ain't saying it. Whether you're black or white, I don't care. If you put that uniform on, you to me, you the same to me. I don't give a shit. Go ahead.
That's your rant?
I fucking hate that. See, this is I want to go in deeper, but I'm trying to keep it to time.
That's your rant? That's it? That's all you got?
Controversy out.
I mean, RTJ is a little turned up. You're a little turned up today.
This would be a long, because I want to go deeper, but this would be too long for that.
You sure you good? You got something else you want to say? We can go over time a little bit. You want to?
Fuck it. We already over time.
All right. So in closing, man, you know what I'm saying? What we see with this situation is, you know, we have a lieutenant in the military. Lieutenant meaning he went to college. So he's college educated. He graduated and then he went into the military, right? Lieutenant is a classification given to people who have college degrees, who have education. We have an educated black man who went into the military, right? He gets pulled over for a non-violent offense, for a traffic violation, right? Not assault, not a battery. Nobody called the police on him. He just gets pulled over for a traffic violation. This young man is fucking maced, has guns drawn on him, and is thrown to the fucking ground while he is crying and pleading for the police officers to treat him like a fucking human being. The difference is a lieutenant versus a sergeant. A sergeant in the Army does not have to have any college fucking education, no college background. They're just an enlisted personnel.
In his case, he's an enlisted piece of shit.
So we have a white guy who enlisted, no college education, no college background, enlisted into the Army, assaults a 18-year-old black child, and is not charged when the police are called. The police come and slap him on the wrist and try to charge him with a broken phone, but don't charge him with assault and battery. There had to be a whole fucking riot and an outcry on social media for the police to come and arrest this man. Notice the difference. So let's not get it misconstrued. People will hear, oh, you over here saying that he should have got out of the truck. Yes, he should have got out of the fucking truck, because I understand police officers don't give a fuck about black people in this country. The proof is the fact that they maced him for a non-violent offense. So don't get it misconstrued. Don't sit here and think that I don't empathize with him and I'm not on his side. I'm on his fucking side. He should have never been treated the way he was fucking treated. I'm only perpetuating the narrative that we as black men have to be smarter. We have families. They could have killed him. And the officer had the gun to his head was saying, you should be scared.
Here's the bullshit. His partner was looking like, dude, you don't have to do this shit. If you actually look at his partner.
Fuck his partner, because his partner didn't say shit.
I agree with you. But then this is where another problem comes in, that, like, they say there's no bad cops. Find me the ones that stopping the bad cops from doing the dumb shit.
No, bad cops are the cops that listen to the fuck. It has to be like company policy that if you see an officer in the wrong, not to say shit, because I see way too many fucking cops.
It's called the blue shield.
I see way too many goddamn cops to be standing around watching other cops do fucked up shit and never fucking say nothing about it. Never say nothing about it. So when people say there's no such thing as bad cops, I'm like, are all cops saying bad cops? The cops that stand by and watch bullshit go on, do nothing about it, you're a bad cop. So I have friends that are cops. I mean, I have several friends that are cops. Several friends that are cops that watch this channel. You know what I'm saying? So for me to say that all cops are full of shit, I can't say that.
I have disowned family members.
Well, you wow. Rodney is turned up.
I don't know.
But we're going to go ahead and kill this episode because I can't keep dealing with this shit from him. We got to move on to the next goddamn topic because Rodney is way too activated. This motherfucker activated. So be sure to like, share, and subscribe.
And follow us on all social media apps. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Follow us on YouTube and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. You guys want to comment, be sure to comment below this video.
Yeah.
Share this video with all your friends on Instagram, Facebook, so forth, and etc. Anything else you want to say, nigga?
Just controversy out.
You sure?
I'm positive.
You want a brownie or something?
I do need a joint. I need to smoke.
This motherfucker, bro.
Look at my heart racing.
God damn.
Who picked this subtopic?
You picked it, motherfucker. The fuck you mean? Controversy out.